Grandpa, listen to me. Your wine isn't safe. Stand up. Liv didn't blink. They planned this. A quiet room, a pen, witnesses. You'll look compliant, and everything you built will be gone before dessert. I need you to trust me right now. We are leaving. No goodbyes, no second chances. Get up. Saturday nights at Riverside Chop House carry a confident hum. Forks meet china. Low jazz drifts from the bar. Our table for 10 glowed under brass fixtures, wrapped in talk that kept circling the same pond. Retirement strategies, power of attorney, succession. Words that sound like love when you say them with a gentle voice. My wine was the most attentive guest at the table. Each time I set the glass down, a server I hadn't summoned appeared, and the level rose back to the brim. It was too smooth for my taste, too generous for the occasion. Across the room, the manager in a dark tie paused when a refill hovered over my place. He watched the pour, logged something behind his eyes, and moved on. Sam smiled as if she had rehearsed it in the car. "Dad, relax. Tonight is about family. You deserve to enjoy what you built." The man beside her, my son-in-law Mike, lifted his glass. "To Charlie, who proves you can build an empire one lease at a time." He said it like a compliment and wore it like a claim. I answered questions about cap rates and tenant screening while my glass kept rising without me. I noticed fingerprints on the stem that were not mine, and a warmth that was not from the room but from under my skin. The warmth had a lazy edge, the kind that makes you nod at bad ideas and sign papers you would never touch in daylight. Liv, seated to my right, had been quiet. She watched the table instead of the food. She watched the refills. When the conversation looped to succession again, she leaned in until her hair brushed my sleeve. "Grandpa, do not drink that." Her voice did not shake. "They put something in your wine. There is a private room upstairs. Lawyers, papers, they want you compliant and on record." I kept my eyes on the table. I set the napkin down, a neat white square against wood. "Bad deals never need you sober. I told you that once, Liv." She nodded once, quick. "Then we leave." Sam's polished voice arrived on cue. "5 more minutes, Dad. The chef is sending something special, and there is someone upstairs who cares about your future." Mike laughed softly. "You can't offend the chef. Chefs survive old men who need air," I said. I stood up. The room pressed its weight on my shoulders, not with hands, but with the idea that family dinners must be endured to earn peace. Liv stood with me, chair sliding back without a scrape. She placed her palm under my elbow as if we had practiced walking out of traps together. We passed the cold shine of a steak under a heat lamp, the smell of pepper and char rising like a dare to stay. The host stand glowed ahead. In the glass beyond it, I saw our reflection, a tall young woman bracing a stubborn old man. The manager looked up as we approached. Our eyes met. He gave the slightest nod. A ledger entry entered without a word. Sam stepped into our path with charm. "Just meet one person. He is upstairs waiting. 5 minutes." "When people work this hard to keep you seated, it is time to stand," I said. I smiled so their memory would keep a calm picture of me, not an angry one. Liv's fingers firmed on my sleeve. "Do not look back," she whispered. "Not yet." The front door was 10 steps. 5. 2. The cool metal of the handle met my palm. Through the glass, our table turned toward us, mouths open in protest that did not reach our side of the door. I did not look back. The door released us into the south end night like a valve opening. Air moved across my face, cool and clean, and the restaurant's hum snapped shut behind the glass. For a heartbeat, the world felt crisp again. Streetlights, painted stripes on the asphalt, the quiet clatter from a kitchen vent. Then the softness returned in waves. Heat spread along my neck and into my chest, not the heat of a brisk walk, but the heavy warmth of a room with no windows. My tongue felt cottoned. Sounds thinned out, as if someone had put felt over the city. "Keep moving," Liv said, low. She guided me away from the wide windows where the dining room could see us, past the valet stand, into a darker lane between parked cars. Her hand under my elbow was steady, professional almost. "Breathe through your nose. Slow." "What exactly is this?" I asked, and my voice sounded a half step behind my mouth. "A sedative," she said, "from a vet clinic. Mom got it through someone she knows. It makes people calm, compliant, fuzzy. They plan to take you upstairs once it kicked in and put papers in front of you. There's a notary, a couple of lawyers. Witnesses who'll swear you seemed fine." The taste in my mouth changed, metal and rind. I braced my palm on a cool fender to steady the horizon. How do you know? I overheard pieces all week, she said. Today I saw Mike add something when the server turned. I couldn't prove it in the moment without a scene, so I got you out. I let my lungs do what they've done for nearly 7 decades. Work without drama. In for 4, hold, out for 4. The numbers gave my mind something simple to respect. Phone, I said. I've got it, Liv answered, already pressing 3 digits. I'm calling 911. We'll report the drugging now, then get you to CMC for a talk screen before it fades. She moved us deeper into the shadow of an SUV as she spoke to the dispatcher, voice concise. Name, location, what was in the wine, the plan to move me upstairs. The dispatcher asked questions. Liv answered. She listened. Yes, we're safe. We're in the lot, out of sight. Yes, we'll go straight to Atrium Health Carolina's Medical Center. Please send officers to the restaurant. When she hung up, she set another call in motion with her other hand. Cab's 2 minutes out, she said. We're not driving. I don't want anyone saying you declined medical care. A car turned into the lot, headlights washing over us, then sliding away. The light left a pale smear across my vision that didn't clear quickly. My balance shifted as if the pavement had found a slow tide. Tell me again, I said, not because I doubted her, but because repetition is a way to nail boards together. Private room, papers, who's upstairs? An attorney named David Reed, Liv said, and a financial planner, Rob Lewis. They've been coordinating with Mom. My daughter's name tugged at a place behind my ribs. I pressed 2 fingers there and found my heartbeat, steady but dulled, like a drum under a blanket. I had taught her to look for good deals that could stand daylight. I had not taught her to respect daylight more than the deal. Liv squeezed my arm once, as if she heard that thought. You taught me to walk away from tables that feel wrong, she said, so we're walking. Footsteps clicked on the far side of the lot, then stopped. A door opened and closed somewhere behind us. The night had a way of making small noises sound like plans. Liv angled us another few yards toward the street, keeping the buck of a pickup between us and the restaurant's windows. Text Sarah, I said. The syllables came out clean, and that felt like a victory. Tell her I'll need counsel first thing Monday. I already did while we were still inside, she said. And, Grandpa, she waited until my eyes met hers. If you feel anything change, vision, speech, breathing, you tell me immediately. It's changing, I didn't dress it up. Edges are softer, time is slower, but my head knows where it is. That's enough, she said. We just need the lab to catch it. She looked toward the entrance drive. Cab in 1 minute. A horn tapped twice, soft and polite. Yellow lights swept the lane and stopped. The driver leaned across the passenger seat, craning to see. I pushed off the fender, and the ground rolled under my feet once, like a boat finding balance after a wake. Liv caught my arm before the roll became a slide. CMC now, before it's too late. The taxi rolled under the awning at Atrium Health Carolina's Medical Center. Automatic doors parted. Antiseptic air met us like cold glass. Liv paid the driver and steadied me to the intake desk. My grandfather may have been drugged at a restaurant, she told the clerk. He had 2 small sips. The glass was refilled without request. Symptoms began about 30 minutes ago. A triage nurse clipped a pulse ox to my finger, wrapped a cuff around my arm, and lifted a penlight. Blood pressure a hint high. Pulse steady. Pupils a fraction slow. I felt a thin layer of wool from the collarbones down. My mind still knew the map. I need a comprehensive talk screen, I said, and please preserve chain of custody. Behind a curtain, monitors blinked awake. An IV catheter slid into my forearm. Shortness of breath, the nurse asked. No, heat, a heavy tongue, and time feels slow, I said. I answered the standard questions. What I ate, what I drank, how much, when the unsolicited refills happened, any regular medications, any conditions. I repeated what Liv overheard. A private room reserved upstairs, a notary and attorneys waiting, papers prepared for signature once I seemed relaxed. A CMPD officer stepped in, badge square and neat, notebook ready. Tell me what we need to act on right now, she said. "Suspected drink tampering at a named restaurant tonight," I said. "We left as soon as we realized. There is a private room reservation connected to me, and we were told witnesses would be present." Liv added, calm and precise. He took only 2 small sips. The glass kept refilling without request. Staff can confirm the table location, pour times, and the upstairs reservation. The manager noticed a questionable pour. "We need all CCTV preserved: dining room, service stations, stairwell, and the upstairs hallway." "We'll dispatch a unit," the officer said. "We'll request the open bottle and glass if available, confirm the reservation, and direct the manager to preserve all video. We'll link your lab results to the case." The physician arrived with a cart. "We'll run a broad toxicology panel, blood and urine. It includes sedatives commonly used in veterinary settings." "Please mark for Acepromazine," Liv said. "It's included," the doctor replied. "We'll expedite so we're within the detection window." The nurse labeled vials with timestamps, my name, and barcodes, then sealed them in a clear evidence pouch. I read the names on the nurse's badge and the phlebotomist's and repeated them to Liv. She photographed the wall clock, my wristband, and each sealed pouch, then logged times on her phone. It felt like overkill. It was not. "Any chest pain?" the nurse asked. "No," I said. "The room is soft at the edges, but I know where I am and why I'm here." She wrote exactly that. The officer slid over a property receipt. "This links your specimens to our report. We'll update you when the unit checks in from the restaurant." I breathed in for 4, held for 4, out for 4. The numbers steadied the minutes. In the corridor, a gurney rattled past, and the doctor stepped aside with the sealed pouch in her hand. "We're taking these to the lab now," she said. "Preliminaries in a few hours." The lab corridor door swung shut with a soft click. Small sound. It felt like a lid settling on a box with the truth inside it. The fluorescent lights hummed like a tired hive. A clock ticked over the doorway, secondhand sweeping with the careless confidence of machines that never miss. I lay on paper that crackled each time I breathed. Somewhere outside the curtain, rubber soles squeaked and a gurney rattled past. Atrium Health smelled like chlorinated winter, clean and impersonal, a place built to separate panic from evidence. Waiting makes room for memory. Tuesday afternoon, sunlight fell through the slats onto my oak table. Sam didn't knock. She pushed the door with her shoulder, heels firing small reports on the hardwood, Mike drifting 2 steps behind like a shadow that forgot its shape. "Dad, we need to talk," she said, voice sugar over stone. "There's a window here. We can't miss it." "Windows that matter open again," I answered, but she was already sliding a glossy pitch across the table. Buzzwords stacked like blocks, timelines that sprinted, returns that glowed. Mike avoided my eyes and smiled at the wall. I set a hand on the folder I keep for him. Crypto that never existed beyond a website. Smoothie equipment rusting under tarps. An import deal that evaporated the day before delivery. Not investments, holes with clever names. I read the totals without speaking them, then closed the file with a soft, final sound. "No," I said. "You're sitting on more than you need while we drown." Sam shot back. "You don't even understand how fast things move now." "I understand velocity," I said. "I built my life on it, and I know the difference between speed and haste." I could feel the line inside me, the one I had failed to draw a dozen times for peace. I drew it. The door caught the air and slammed when they left. The house absorbed the blow and went quiet. Dust swam in rows of light. My tea had gone cold. I breathed the way I teach new supervisors to breathe when tenants are shouting. Count, then answer. Love without a boundary is permission. I told myself that out loud and felt both older and steadier for saying it. Memory slid farther back, to a swing set in Freedom Park. Sam was 8, sneakers flashing as I pushed, her hair a black ribbon against late afternoon gold. "How do you know a good deal, Daddy?" "It stands up in daylight," I said. "It lets you sleep on it. If it can't wait through the weekend, it can wait forever." She laughed and promised to wait for good ones. I can still hear that bright promise. I carried it like a photograph for decades, not noticing when the edges curled. The monitor near my shoulder chirped. Liv sat in the visitor's chair with my wallet and a notebook open, writing names exactly as I had spoken them to the officer. Samantha Turner, Michael Hayes, David Reed, Rob Lewis, Anthony Vega. She underlined preserve CCTV. She wrote chain of custody in capitals, then drew a small box around it as if to hold the words still. I practiced 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out. The room floated half an inch and settled. On the table beside the bed, my phone buzzed, face down. I didn't have to turn it over to know the name. Liv picked it up, glanced, then met my eyes. "They'll try to rewrite tonight before the lab can write it for us," she said. "They'll say you misunderstood. They'll say you're tired." She silenced the call and set the phone back on the table, screen dark as a pond. "Don't pick up," she whispered. "Not now." Before we get results, the CMPD officer flips to a fresh page. "Anything unusual before tonight?" "Yes," I say, 2 nights after the argument. Timeline. Tuesday afternoon we argued. Early Wednesday, 2 a.m., I woke to a car idling on the street. I didn't get up. At 7, I stepped outside. "What did you find?" she asks. "A twisted mailbox on the sidewalk. The post split like kindling. Red paint across my white front door. Selfish. All caps, still tacky at the edges. Tulips along the walk flattened by heavy shoes. Witnesses? Mrs. Thompson next door. She heard the engine around 2. She told me it sounded expensive. Quiet but powerful. Dark sedan. My son-in-law drives one." She notes it without looking up. "Did you report it then?" "Yes, I called the non-emergency line Wednesday morning." I point to Liv's notebook. She slides the case number over. "An officer took photos, logged the damage. I scheduled cleanup and a new mailbox that day." "Security measures?" "By Thursday afternoon, I had a camera installer scheduled. Front door, driveway, side yard. I told maintenance to add motion lights." I didn't mention it to my daughter. "What about contact from her?" "Wednesday, she texted, 'Hope you slept well. Maybe consider a safer area, closer to us.' No mention of the paint on my door." I let that sit. Friday morning, she called with the invitation to a small family dinner tonight. She said my presence was the only gift. The officer underlines the dates. So, Tuesday argument, Wednesday vandalism, Thursday cameras, Friday invitation, Saturday dinner. Consistent with escalation. Correct. She leans back. Anything else that felt like pressure or surveillance? Just the pattern, fast timelines, guilt, and the invitation framed as reconciliation. Liv adds, "And the table tonight, prepped to talk succession and power of attorney. He was nudged to drink and to relax." The officer nods. "We'll add the vandalism report to this case file. We'll canvass the street for doorbell cams and ask Mrs. Thompson for a statement. If your cameras captured anything after installation, we'll request copies." "Understood," I say. She turns the clipboard. "Sign here to confirm today's statement updates your prior report." I sign my name the way I always have, legible, slow, without flourish. Facts over drama. As she tears off the yellow carbon, my phone lights on the tray. Samantha, missed call, then a text sliding in underneath. "Are you okay, Dad?" I don't touch it. Liv tilts the screen face down. "Later," she says, after the lab speaks. The doctor returned with a printout and the careful face people wear when they're about to put facts on the table. "Mr. Turner," she said, "your toxicology panel is positive for Acepromazine." Liv breathed out, not in surprise but in relief that something had a name. The CMPD officer raised her pen. "At the detected concentration," the doctor continued, "we'd expect slowed processing, a sense of warmth, docility, and impaired judgment for several hours. 2 small sips could plausibly produce these effects if the drink was dosed. You've done the right thing by coming in quickly. We're well inside the detection window." "Any risk to his airway or heart?" Liv asked. "Vitals are stable. We'll monitor for a bit longer, but I'm not concerned about respiratory suppression at this level. We'll attach the lab certification and chain of custody documentation to his chart." The nurse returned with labeled copies for the officer. The evidence pouch made a dry sound on the tray. The officer wrote the case number in the top right corner of every page. "This links directly to your report," she said. "Our unit is at the restaurant now. They're requesting the open bottle, the glassware, and they've instructed management to lock the DVRs. We'll also verify any upstairs reservation connected to your name." I nodded and let the numbers of my breathing hold steady. 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out. Facts instead of fear. Liv's voice was softer when she spoke next, as if a decision had clicked into place. "There's someone you need to look at," she said to the officer. "Emily Parker. She's a veterinary technician. My mother knows her. I overheard Mom on the phone. The same medication they use to calm large animals, and then the name Emily. Yesterday, I saw a text preview flash on Mom's phone. Got it from an Emily, no last name. The timing fits tonight." "Where does Emily work?" the officer asked. "South Ridge Animal Clinic," Liv said, "off Park Road. I can show you my call log from today and notes from Tuesday forward." The officer took it down cleanly. "We'll follow up with the clinic and obtain records under warrant if necessary. Thank you." The doctor checked the monitor again. "We'll keep you under observation another hour," she said to me. "Hydration and rest will help the fog clear. You may feel heavy, but you should continue to orient normally. If anything changes, vision, speech, breathing, you tell us." "I will," I said, "and thank you." When they stepped out, the room felt larger. The clock added a minute to my life. Liv sat and studied me the way you study a map before you fold it, carefully, so the next time you open it, the lines still make sense. "You kept your head," she said quietly. "You gave me a reason to," I answered. My phone vibrated against the tray, with the discreet insistence of good manners. The caller ID read a number I didn't know. I let it pass to voicemail. It started again immediately. "Answer on speaker," Liv said. "If it's Mom, we don't engage. If it's the restaurant, we want to hear it." I tapped the green button and set the phone down. "This is Anthony Vega," a man's voice said. Calm, professional, the same cadence I heard supervising a dining room. "I'm the general manager at Riverside Shophouse. I believe you left our restaurant a short while ago." "I did," I said. "There were irregularities tonight that concern me," he said. He chose his words with a cloth napkin. "We reviewed the dining room cameras in real time when my floor supervisor flagged a pour at your table. I have video of a guest touching your glass while the server's back is turned. The timestamps align with your refills." Liv didn't move, but her eyes brightened as if someone had cracked a door to daylight. "I'm preserving all footage," Anthony went on. "Dining room, service station, stairwell, and the upstairs corridor. I've already told my owner and I'm cooperating with CMPD on site. If you have legal counsel, I'll provide a copy to them as well, formally, so chain of custody holds." "We do," I said. "We'll connect you in the morning." "I'll email my contact information to the address on your reservation," he said. "Mr. Turner, I'm sorry. We take guest safety seriously." "So do I said. The line clicked off. Liv wrote his name in her notebook, underlined it twice, then drew a small box around it the way she had with chain of custody. Outside the curtain, a cart rolled by and the hallway swallowed the sound. "A name for the drug," I said. "A name for the source, and now a name on the tape." Liv capped her pen. "Tomorrow, we give those names to someone who knows what to do with them." "Tomorrow," I said, "and let the minute hand give me another minute." By Monday morning, the haze had thinned to a dull edge. Sarah Johnson's office looked over Little Sugar Creek, winter trees like clean lines on paper. She greeted us, ran a quick conflict check, then slid an engagement letter across the table. "Scope is simple," she said. "Protect the assets, preserve the evidence. Coordinate with CMPD, then pursue civil remedies. Document first, emotion later." I signed. Liv and initialed the chain of custody clause without being asked. "Step 1, containment," Sarah said, drawing a box labeled Turner Properties. "List your entities and cash accounts. LLCs by cluster, operating accounts per entity. Central reserve," I said. "Property management software with user tiers." "Good. Today we alert banks of suspected fraud. Place watch flags on all accounts. Require dual authorization for any disbursement over a set threshold. Rotate passwords. Enable MFA on everything. Revoke any third-party credentials. Management side, freeze vendor changes, new payees, and wire instructions unless you approve in writing. My paralegal will sit with Liv and execute the checklist." She turned a page. "Step 2. Paper. We issue subpoenas this afternoon." She ticked items on her pad as she spoke. Riverside Chop House, reservation logs, seating charts, POS tickets, pour times, staffing schedules, and all CCTV, dining room, service stations, stairwell, upstairs corridor for a 3-hour window. We'll request preservation of original DVRs and forensically image them. We'll also subpoena the upstairs private room contract and the notary's book for the night. Southridge Animal Clinic, Acepromazine inventory and dispensing logs for 90 days, employee access logs, key fob records, and Emily Parker's timesheets and training file. We'll seek a protective order to shield client identities. We want drug movement, not medical data. Phones? Liv asked. Depositions first, Sarah said. We'll request voluntary production of relevant communications. If they stall, we narrowly seek call and text records. She checked her calendar. Anthony Vega is coming at 2 with a copy of your CCTV and a custodian of records affidavit. We'll image it here, issue a receipt, and keep chain of custody intact. I breathed to the creek's tempo. Any old paperwork I should revoke? We'll review your medical and financial POAs and beneficiary designations today, she said. If your daughter's name appears where it shouldn't, we revoke and replace. If it must remain for medical reasons, we add a co-agent you trust and narrow authority. She slid a 1-page checklist to me. Order of operations: banks, insurers, registered agent, Secretary of State, property manager, IT. Then subpoenas drafted, filed, and served by close of business. CMPD, Liv said. I've already called the detective, Sarah replied. We'll coordinate so our civil subpoenas don't step on their warrants. If we need temporary restraining orders to prevent harassment or asset dissipation, we'll file by week's end. She capped her pen. One more rule: no direct contact with your daughter or son-in-law. If they call or text, forward to me. If they show up, call me and the police. I felt the old instinct to explain rise and pass. Understood. Sarah stood. Paralegals ready to start MFA and password rotations. I'll draft and file. At 2, we meet Mr. Vega. When do the envelopes land? I asked. Today, she said. By tonight, the story will start telling itself on letterhead. The creek kept moving. So did we. Anthony arrived at 2 sharp with a hard case. He introduced himself as Riverside Chophouse's custodian of records and placed an external drive in a tamper-evident bag on the table, along with a thin folder and a record stamp. This is an export of relevant cameras with metadata, he said. Dining room, service station by your table, stair landing, upstairs corridor. Exported at 12:46 p.m. today. Sarah nodded to her paralegal, who connected the drive through a right-blocked workstation. We'll image and verify hashes now, she said. Anthony opened the folder. Seating chart. Saturday, your party labeled Turner, 10. POS detail for 7:08 to 9:30 p.m. with time-stamped pours. Staffing schedule, sections and the upstairs assignment. Private room reservation sheet. He set the stamp and pen beside the stack. We watched the dining room angle first. Under the pendant light, our table sat within a clear cone. At 7:51 p.m., a fresh bottle was placed near my glass. At 7:53, while the server turned to grab a coaster, Mike's left hand, blue jacket, wristwatch, reached across the bread plate. His fingers hovered by my stem for under a second, then withdrew. At 7:55, the server topped my glass. Show the service station, Sarah said. On that angle, at 7:52:58, a hand passed close over the rim. The pendant reflection shifted slightly, a reference point Anthony used to align views. 2 minutes later, the pour occurred. Stairs and corridor, Sarah said. The stair camera captured traffic to the landing. At 8:49, the upstairs corridor showed 2 suited men waiting near a door marked private. A notary bag sat on a side table. An associate checked a phone, opened the door, and glanced toward the stairwell. Sarah pointed to the reservation sheet. Anthony read, Upstairs Private Room B. Note, Turner follow-up, quiet space, 7 to 9:30 p.m. Caller ID withheld. Additional note, Notary will attend. Name of the notary? Sarah asked. Not on this sheet, Anthony said. The upstairs logbook requires sign-ins. We retained it. You can subpoena. We returned to the service station angle. At 8:20:57, Mike's hand appeared again near my glass as the server reached for a napkin. At 8:21:10, my glass was lifted and tilted. At 8:22, on the dining room angle, I took a small sip. That aligns with when you felt the warmth sharpen? Sarah asked. It does, I said. The paralegal read out the imaging results. SHA 256 hashes calculated, pre- and post-copy match. She printed the values and attached them to a chain of custody form. Sarah slid an affidavit across. Custodian declaration, true and correct copy, kept in the ordinary course, originals preserved on DVRs. Anthony signed, dated, and initialed each page of the seating chart, POS exports, staffing schedule, and the private room sheet, then stamped them with the restaurant seal. Sarah issued a receipt acknowledging the drive's imaging and the documents received. Next steps, Sarah said. We'll file a preservation order to lock your DVRs and a subpoena duces tecum for forensic imaging at the source. We'll also subpoena the upstairs sign-in book and the notary's appointment book for that night. Anthony nodded. CMPD has a unit on site. I've told my owner, and we're cooperating fully. If the detective needs me, I'll make time. I said, thank you for moving fast. He met my eyes. Guest safety, and if this were my father, I'd want someone to act. He rebagged his copy of the drive and left with his custodian receipt. Sarah was already dialing. Clerk's office, Johnson Law. We're lodging a preservation order today with a custodian affidavit attached. Service at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Courtesy email to opposing counsel tonight. 2 targets, Riverside Chop House and South Ridge Animal Clinic. She paused, then added, we will hand-deliver exhibits. She hung up and stacked the documents in a Redwell. We'll circulate the courtesy copies this evening so they know exactly what we have and what's coming, she said. By morning, the orders post and service goes out. Liv underlined Anthony's name in her notebook and wrote hashes match beside it. I watched the time on Sarah's wall clock roll forward 1 minute. Now the paper moves, Sarah said. No flourish, just the next step. By late afternoon, our inboxes looked like switchboards. Sarah's paralegal spun up a secure folder labeled Sources. We'll keep outreach and returns clean, Sarah said. Investigator handles first contact, we document. Our investigator started with the obvious file polls. State bar records for David Reed. Firm affiliation. Prior disciplinary hits, none. CFP registry and broker check on Rob Lewis. Employment history and disclosures. Thin but present. He mapped their email domains against the reservation note and found a contact at a small suite on Moorhead, shared office space, the kind of place you lease when you plan to be temporary. Liv and I built a parallel spreadsheet, names Mike had dropped over the years, advisors he'd cited, lenders he'd approached using my reputation as soft collateral. We added columns for date, context, and whether any money ever changed hands. Patterns make their own red ink if you give them columns. South Ridge, I asked? Subpoena drafted, Sarah said, but we'll call the clinic manager to lock paper and people in place. She put the call on speaker. The manager was polite and firm. No records without legal process, staff schedules are internal, but confirmed clinic hours and that controlled drug logs exist and are reconciled weekly. That was enough for now. The investigator reached Emily Parker on his second try. She answered on a break, wind in the receiver. I can't talk long, she said. Then listen long, he replied. We have a patient harmed by diverted Acepromazine. Your name came up. You can either be the last link in someone else's chain or the first link in your own protection. Counsel is on the line if you want it. Sarah took the handoff smoothly. Miss Parker, I represent the patient, she said. We aren't law enforcement. If you cooperate, we'll notify the district attorney that you came forward early and voluntarily. We will also seek a protective order for your employment records. Silence, then a small exhale. I didn't know what it was for, Emily said. I was told it was for an aggressive dog at home, a friend of a client. I pulled 2 milliliters from stock and logged it as a spill. I know that's wrong, I know. When? Sarah asked. Friday, 4:12 p.m., Emily said. You'll see my initials on the log. The cabinet records key fob access too. My manager signs off weekly. Did anyone instruct you? Sarah asked. A woman named Sam, Emily said, quieter. She said she worked in finance. She sounded urgent. I'm not supposed to do favors like that. I won't do it again. Don't, Sarah said. We'll send you a letter memorializing your cooperation. Do not alter any records. Do not talk to anyone about this except counsel or law enforcement. We'll coordinate a time for you to give a statement. After the call, Sarah looked at me. That gives us time, date, quantity, method, and a voice. The subpoena to South Ridge now has a path to walk. Our investigators sent over photos of the Moorhead Suite directory. David Reed and Rob Lewis listed as consultants, no suite branding. He'd already requested building access logs for Saturday evening and any conference room bookings under generic descriptors. He also flagged a notary whose office shared the floor. The dots were moving closer on their own. Liv's laptop chimed. She turned the screen so we both could see. Subject line, Emergency Audit Initiated. Pinnacle's compliance officer wrote in precise, lawyerly prose, "We have opened an immediate review of accounts managed by Samantha Turner. Please preserve all documents, communications, and third-party correspondence related to the above. We appreciate your prompt notice." Sarah read it twice, then smiled without warmth. "That's the first domino," she said, and they toppled toward daylight. I added the email to our sources folder and highlighted Emily's call in yellow. Names breed accountability when they're lined up straight. "We keep going," I said. Sarah spread the exhibits across the conference table like a map you don't fold until you're sure where you're going. "This isn't about speeches," she said. "It's about sequence. Paper over people, because paper doesn't forget." She numbered our anchors on a yellow pad. Exhibit 1, dining room and service station footage. 751, bottle placement. 753, hand at the stem. 755, pour. Then repeats at 8:20:57 hand, 8:20:10 pour, 8:22 sip. Exhibit 2, upstairs corridor. 8:49, 2 suited men, notary bag, door marked private. Exhibit 3, POS receipts timestamped to match each pour. Exhibit 4, lab report, Acepromazine positive, chain of custody intact. Exhibit 5, upstairs reservation sheet, Turner follow-up, quiet space, notary will attend, 7 to 9:30. Exhibit 6, Emily Parker's anticipated statement, Friday 4:12 p.m., 2 milliliters withdrawn and logged as spill. She slid me a one-page chronology. We make time tell the story. Tuesday confrontation, Wednesday vandalism, Thursday camera scheduled, Friday drug withdrawal at 4:12 p.m., Saturday pours at 7:55 and 8:21, 8:49 corridor set, intended signing 9:15 p.m. Liv underlined 9:15 p.m. and drew a small dot. "Do we have any writing that uses that exact time?" "Working on it," Sarah said. "Our investigator requested conference room bookings for that floor under generic descriptors. If we can pull a confirmation email, even a "see you at 9:15, that's Exhibit 7. She uncapped a pen. "Now, outlines. We depose the architects first." She wrote David Reed at the top of a legal pad and read the bullets aloud, the way you test a bridge before you cross it. Foundation. Confirm licensure. Scope of engagement, billing entries, documents prepared for post-dinner signature, who requested a notary, who drafted transfer of control language, did he or his staff ever meet my client? No? Then who represented his interests? She started a second page, Robert Lewis, foundation, qualifications, compensation, risk analysis. Who suggested using a private room with witnesses? Any emails referring to capacity, consent, or keeping it calm? Any communications with Samantha Turner about making Dad agreeable? She turned a third page, Samantha Turner, foundation, employment role and fiduciary duties. Confront with Pinnacle's audit notice. Confront with Emily Parker's details, Friday 4:12, initials on log, key fob record, then camera chronology and reservation sheet. The yes-no cadence will do the work, no explanations. A fourth, Michael Hayes, foundation, history of opportunities funded by Mr. Turner, reason for touching the glass while a server's back was turned, knowledge of the upstairs room and the notary. She handed me a fifth pad with my own name. Your role under oath, short answers, no adjectives. You will identify the people and the objects, read the times, and say what you felt at those times. At 8:22, I took a small sip and felt the warmth sharpen. If you don't remember, say you don't. If you need a document, ask to see it. She looked at Liv. You're not a witness to the pour itself, but you are to statements and to the exit. We'll keep you on the list in case they force us to prove why we left when we did. Her paralegal walked in with a stack of forms. Service windows, she said. Clerk can calendar depositions starting Thursday, 2 per day. Book Reed and Lewis first, Sarah said, family after. Serve notices today with courtesy PDFs of the exhibits so there's no ambush claim. Also, file a protective motion for Emily Parker's employment records, drug logs only, no client names. She dialed the clinic. South Ridge, Johnson Law. Our subpoena is filed. A preservation order is attached. Please secure Acepromazine logs, dispensing records, and key fob access reports from the last 90 days. We'll coordinate pickup with your counsel. She ended the call and turned to me. Phones will come later, if needed. First, we let paper and video do the talking. CMPD, Liv asked. I spoke with the detective, Sarah said. They'll run the criminal path. We'll share what we gather in parallel. If at any point they ask us to pause on a witness, we pause. She pushed a thin packet to me. Revocations and replacements for any stale proxies, already drafted. Sign here and here. We file this afternoon. I signed the way I always have. Legible, slow, no flourish. Her paralegal reappeared in the doorway. Clerk confirmed, she said. Notice is accepted. Reed Thursday 9 a.m., Lewis Thursday 2 p.m., Family Friday. Sarah capped her pen. Good. We lead with the tape, then the lab, then the corridor. The story will start telling itself, one timestamp at a time. I looked at the neat stack of exhibits, paper over people. It felt like a fence finally mended along the right line. Recorder rolling. Exhibits pre-marked. David Reed adjusts his tie. Sarah lays Exhibit 1, the dining room clip, beside his elbow. State your name, firm, and role, she begins. David Allen Reed, Reed Legal Group, outside counsel, he says. Were you engaged to prepare documents for a post-dinner signing on Saturday, she asks. I was asked to have materials ready, he says. By whom? A prospective client introduced by Samantha Turner. Did you ever speak with my client? No. Who arranged the notary? Sarah taps Exhibit 5, the upstairs reservation sheet. Notary will attend. Our office requested a notary on standby, he concedes. Sarah nods to the paralegal. Exhibit 1 plays. 7:53 p.m., a hand near the stem. 7:55, pour. Exhibit 2, 8:49 p.m., 2 suited men and a notary bag outside private room B. Were you waiting upstairs at 9:15, she asks. My calendar shows an availability block, he says. Exhibit 7, Sarah says, sliding a print, see you 9:15, quiet room, from a shared suite address. Does that refresh your recollection? Yes. Any assessment of capacity or consent, she asks. That wasn't my instruction, he replies. Who gave the instruction? Communications came through Miss Turner and a consultant, Robert Lewis. Rob Lewis takes the chair next. Sarah builds foundation, then places the POS timeline between them. Did you advise using a private room with witnesses, she asks. Best practices, Rob says, quiet, fewer distractions. Any discussions about keeping Mr. Turner calm or agreeable, Sarah asks. No. Exhibit 6, she says, reading from Emily Parker's expected statement. Friday 4:12 p.m., 2 ml Acepromazine withdrawn, logged as spill. I don't know anything about that, Rob says. Exhibit 1 again, Sarah says. The screen freezes at 8:21:10 as the glass tilts. At 8:22, Mr. Turner sips. At 8:49, your witnesses stage upstairs. At 9:15, your email confirms the room. What was the plan? Discuss opportunities, he offers. Transfer controlling interest with a notary pleasant, Sarah asks. I can't speak to legal conclusions, he says. Sarah places the lab report over the POS slip. Then speak to timestamps, she says. Do you dispute them? No. Do you dispute that a signing was expected at 9:15? No. Do you dispute that you coordinated with Miss Ogletree? Turner? No. Off the record 5 minutes, opposing counsel interjects. On the record, request stated by whom, Sarah asks. Counsel for deponents, the lawyer says. Time noted, the reporter says. Reporter on. Exhibits pre-marked. Samantha Turner is sworn. Sarah keeps her voice level. State your name and employer. Samantha Lynn Turner, Pinnacle Financial. Job title and duties. Senior Advisor, I manage client portfolios. Do you understand your fiduciary duty to act in your client's best interests? Yes. On Saturday night, did you invite your father to dinner at Riverside Chop House? Yes. Did you arrange for a private room upstairs, noted Turner follow-up, quiet space, with a notary to attend? Sarah taps Exhibit 5. I didn't. Someone handled logistics. Who? A consultant, Robert Lewis. Did you intend documents to be presented to your father upstairs after dinner? We planned to discuss options. Exhibit 4, Sarah says, laying the lab report in front of Sam. Your father's tox screen is positive for Acepromazine. Do you dispute this? I'm not a doctor. It's a yes or no. I can't dispute a lab. Exhibit 6, Sarah continues. Emily Parker, veterinary technician at Southridge Animal Clinic, states that on Friday at 4:12 p.m. she withdrew 2 milliliters of Acepromazine and logged it as a spill at the request of a woman named Sam. Do you deny instructing her? Sam's eyes drop. I asked if she knew where I could get something to calm a dog. I never said. Yes or no, did you ask Emily Parker to provide Acepromazine? A long beat. Yes. Exhibit 1, Sarah says. The screen freezes at 8:21:10 while a glass tilts. At 8:22, your father sips. Exhibit 2 shows 2 suited men and a notary bag waiting outside private room B at 8:49. Exhibit 7 confirms CU 915 quiet room. Were you expecting your father to sign documents transferring control of Turner Properties? I thought he'd be open to it. Yes or no? Yes. Thank you. No further questions for now. Michael Hayes is sworn. Mr. Hayes, watch Exhibit 1, Sarah says. The 753 frame shows his left hand near the stem as the server turns. Is that your hand? It looks like. I was moving bread. Exhibit 1 again, 8:20:57. Your hand reappears near the rim. At 8:21:10, the glass tilts. At 8:22, Mr. Turner sips. Why were you reaching toward his glass while the server's back was turned? I didn't mean. It's a question. I reached to move a napkin, that's all. Were you aware of a private room upstairs with a notary waiting at 9:15? I heard there was a room in case things got loud. Did you coordinate with Mr. Reed or Mr. Lewis about having your father-in-law sign documents Saturday night? I was told there might be paperwork. Yes or no? Yes. Do you dispute the timestamps on the video and receipts? No. Do you dispute the lab result? I can't. Opposing counsel clears his throat. Objection to form. Noted, Sarah says. She sets one last page on the table, an email header. Mr. Hayes, did you send or receive any message using the phrase, keep him calm, this week? Mike stares at the paper. I need to see the full email. You will, Sarah says, after lunch. The hallway was quiet in the way courthouses get after lunch, carpet swallowing footsteps, fluorescence buzzing like a tired beehive. Sam stood by the window, arms folded, eyes on a parking lot that didn't look back. Dad, she said without turning, this isn't what you think. It's exactly what the documents think, I answered. Paper doesn't get emotional. She faced me. The polish from the deposition was gone. I was trying to secure your future, to make sure Turner Properties survives when you can't keep doing 16-hour days. You tried to secure it by taking it, I said. You hired a room, a notary, and men who don't know me to witness a thing I would never agree to. She flinched. You've always been rigid. I needed you to be open. I needed you to be honest. We stood a yard apart, the way people do when they want to close distance and can't. For a second, a different afternoon broke through. Freedom Park, a swing, her hair in sunlight. How do you know a good deal, Daddy? It stands up in daylight. You taught me to wait for good ones, I said. You stopped waiting. Her jaw worked. I asked for something to calm a dog, she said, low. I didn't say it was for you. You asked for Acepromazine, I said. Emily gave a time, a quantity, a log. The cameras gave hands and minutes. The lab gave a name. None of that was daylight. Tears made her mascara shine without falling. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "You meant to win," I said, "at my table, with my name." I let the words land and then soften. "Accountability isn't cruelty, Sam. It's love with a spine. I should have drawn lines sooner. I'm drawing them now." She looked past me to the conference room where Liv was closing a binder with our lawyer. "Is she proud of this?" Sam asked, "watching you humiliate her mother?" "She watched you endanger her grandfather," I said, "and she pulled me out of it. That's not humiliation. That's courage." Silence settled. Somewhere a door clicked shut, and a copier hummed to life. "I'm going to make this right," she said, but even she didn't believe it. "You can start by telling the truth when asked," I said, "under oath, in writing, and by leaving Liv out of any more plans." Her shoulders dropped a fraction. She picked up her bag, then put it down again. "Take care of Liv," she said finally, voice thin. "Please." "I have," I said, "and I will." She nodded once and walked past me, perfume trailing a memory of better rooms. I stayed where I was and let the line I'd drawn hold. By the time dawn rinsed Myers Park, the story had jumped from transcripts to headlines. The Charlotte Ledger ran a small, clean block on page 2. Financial advisor suspended amid emergency audit. No names in print, but anyone who knows this town could do the math. My phone didn't stop. Property owners, old tenants, 2 brokers I've competed with for 20 years. The calls were short and steady. "You okay? Need coverage? We've got eyes if you want them." Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's whoever shows up when the roof leaks. Pinnacle's formal notice landed at 9:13 a.m. Effective immediately, Samantha Twenner is placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Clients assigned to Miss Turner will be audited for irregularities. Please direct all inquiries to compliance. The tone was bloodless. The meaning wasn't. By noon, compliance sent a second note: freeze on outbound transfers from her book until review. At 12:27, Margaret Chen called. Her voice shook. "They said there are discrepancies," she whispered. "They're bringing in an outside auditor. If you hadn't—" She stopped. "Thank you." I told her the same thing I tell tenants who report a broken lock. You did the right thing. It shouldn't be brave to ask for the truth, but sometimes it is. Lenders started their own chorus. Mike's consulting lines, once greased by my reputation, were suddenly sticky. 2 banks demanded updated financials by close of business. A third sent a notice of default with a 5-day cure window. A broker texted me a link, for sale sign planted in his front yard by dusk. CMPD called mid-afternoon. "We've rolled your ER results, the Riverside evidence, and the vandalism into a consolidated case referral," the detective said. "The DA is reviewing attempted fraud and elder exploitation. We're interviewing the notary and the 2 men from the corridor camera." Sarah worked the civil side like a metronome. Courtesy packets with the core exhibits went out to opposing counsel. Preservation orders posted. Subpoenas were served. She prepped an emergency motion for a temporary restraining order, just in case anyone thinks proximity is a strategy, she said. Our investigator pulled footage from 3 doorbells on my block. Headlights idling at 2:01 a.m. Wednesday. A navy sedan silhouette. A figure in a hood crossing my walk with a can in hand. Mrs. Thompson signed her statement without flourish. By evening, the house was quiet in the way houses get when the wind changes direction. Liv and I ate soup in the kitchen, notebooks closed, phones face down. The creak of the neighborhood, gossip, speculation, sympathy, moved around us without coming in. At 8:42 p.m., Sarah's text arrived. "Plea discussions are on the table. Expect outreach. Say nothing directly, we'll handle." I set the phone beside my spoon and let the words settle. Consequences had started their slow work. The next move would come on letterhead or in handwriting. Either way, daylight was doing what daylight does. The envelope was thick and soft-edged, forwarded from Sarah's office with a yellow sticky, no direct reply. If needed, respond through counsel. My name on the front was in Sam's hand loops I could recognize from permission slips and thank you notes decades old. I opened it at the kitchen table. No preamble, no defense, just her ink, steady enough to be deliberate. "Dad, I'm sorry," it began. I told myself I was securing your legacy. I was securing control. I did not intend to harm you, but I chose a path that would have. I asked for something I had no right to ask for, and used people I had no right to use. Please take care of Liv. She is better than my choices. No request to meet, no bargaining. One paragraph acknowledged Pinnacle's audit, I've been placed on leave, I will cooperate, and one line about restitution. If there is any way to make victims whole, I will. Then, I understand if you choose not to speak to me. I will not contact you directly. A second, shorter note slid out with it. Mike's print, square and smaller. Mr. Turner, this is on me as much as anyone. I let money and pride talk louder than decency. I'll deal with the loans and whatever the court orders. I won't darken your door. I'm sorry. I set both pages on the table and let the quiet stand. Accountability is not cruelty. It's love with a spine. I'd said it in a hallway. I felt it now. I didn't write back. I emailed Sarah. Please acknowledge receipt. No direct contact. All communications through counsel. No discussion about Liv. She replied in minutes. Acknowledged. I'll send a neutral receipt and reiterate boundaries. Plea terms likely to include restitution and no contact provisions. Will update. I walked the envelopes to the office file and slid them behind a tab labeled Family Boundaries. Not to keep score, to keep order. A knock at the front door, light and familiar. Liv stepped in with a legal pad tucked under her arm. Grandpa, she said, not glancing at the table, not peeking at the file. Teach me, the right way, if you're willing. I am, I said. It starts small. She smiled. Small I can do. We set 2 mugs on the counter and opened a clean notebook. First lesson, keys and trust live in the same drawer. You issue both with care, you track both with paper, and you never confuse family with free pass. Liv wrote it down without looking up. Tomorrow, I said, closing the notebook, we start where it began. She nodded. The duplex. The line was drawn. The next line would be a plan. We parked at the curb where it started, one small duplex, white trim, a porch that has outlasted 3 generations of porch swings. I handed Liv a ring with 2 labels, U1 and U2. First lesson, I said, keys and trust live in the same drawer. Track both. We walked the exterior before knocking. Roofline straight, gutters clear, downspouts attached. A walk-around saves 1,000 emails, I said. You see what tenants forget to mention. Inside Unit 1, Mr. Carter met us in the doorway with a smile that said rent paid early and repairs handled. We checked smoke detectors, GFCIs, and the air filter he'd set out. Liv took notes on a clean sheet. Filters quarterly, test alarms, verify outlets. Maintenance triage, I said on the porch. Life safety first, leaks next. Heat in winter, cool in summer. Everything else can wait 48 hours with good communication. Unit 2 had a loose latch and a slow drain. Liv wrote, work order latch, bath drain, tomorrow a.m. Set expectations in writing, I said, then beat them by half a day. We sat on the steps with a simple cash flow page. Rents in, fixed costs, reserves. No magic, I said, just math you respect, every month. Reserves are not savings. They're promises you keep to the building before you keep any for yourself. Her phone buzzed. She glanced, then put it face down without reading. Later, she said, good. Boundaries travel. Across the street, Mrs. Thompson waved from her morning walk and called, looking good, Mr. Turner. I waved back and introduced Liv with one line, the next pair of hands. My forgiveness is free. Access is earned. In hard betrayal stories, the heart longs for reunion while the mind requires repair. Hold both. God can heal a wound without removing a boundary. God can soften a tone without weakening a standard. God can redeem a life even as courts demand restitution. File this among your betrayal stories and title it Love with a Spine. Even in betrayal stories that hurt, mercy and limits can stand side by side. If any of this gave you language for a hard season, I'd value your reflections in the comments. Share it softly with a friend who might need it.